How are you? How's things?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's exciting. It's felt like strange promoting a movie in a pandemic, but like our poster in key art came out yesterday, and it's like, oh wow, this is all actually finally going to be released in a little less than a week, or a little more than a week, I should say. But yeah, next Friday. So that's exciting.
Yeah, good. Have you had to work on the movie during the lockdowns? Have you had to have lots of these Zoom meetings to get it finished?
Yeah, absolutely. We edited the movie. Barrett Heathcote was my editor, is a Brit, because this is a UK co-production, and we went back and we were both in Soho finishing the movie in February, and it was like lock, pencils down. We need to do the VFX now. Like no more tinkering. And so we kind of celebrated, had a night out, and then like it was like a normal life. And then by the time I was back in LA, I think like a week from being back home, everything shut down. But that was good timing, to be honest with you, because we from there it was just we were going to do a lot of CineSync and a lot of Zoom, and then we ended up using this server, this Frame.io, which is kind of like this incredible cloud-based server where we just had every single VFX shot up there, and I could make notes and draw on frames and tag people, and everyone could see it. So that worked great. And yeah, that was like my whole summer, my whole spring, summer, and fall. And then finally it was to the mix. We kind of were like, we this is an independent science fiction film. We didn't have the budget to have a mix stage in London and one in LA and have pay people overtime for the time differences and everything. So I had to go on a little bit of a testing protocol, and then go to London for about a month to finish the movie in October.
Goodness me, that's a long journey. But at least you're here now. At least it's finally coming out.
No,
And
it's
cinemas
like
are open,
for me, it's actually. For me, it's like it was actually quick, because the second movie we started filming at the end of 2014, and it came out the end of 2017. So this one was like, just a real quick turnaround, half the time. So it was refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's lightning quick in comparison.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So part three of a franchise, there's not many part threes that work.
I like how you said.
Well, I was talking more about how people say about The Godfather. Godfather 1 and 2 is great, and then people were saying Godfather 3. But yours, I feel like it's a great ending. It really does deliver. What's the pressure like? The unique pressure of doing, because you did the second one and now you're doing the third one. I mean, is there a different kind of pressure to deliver a third one, and then a third one that might be the end of a trilogy? I mean, it's a space that not many people get to navigate.
No, well, that is true. I didn't really think of it that way at all, though. And I think the difference, I mean, but there's a few differences between the Godfather saga and the Skyline. But I think having the first one be perhaps the great American movie of all time is a much different pressure than making the.
We could talk about Alien. We could talk about Alien 3, and that.
Yeah, right, yeah, exactly. But even then, yeah, exactly. That because our franchise has more humble beginnings, I just don't. I kind of looked at like I just wanted to keep making each movie better, and keep trying to get better as a filmmaker, better as a writer, better as a director, as a producer. And continue to kind of like figure out exactly what works best for this fun kind of genre mash that we've been developing. And I like to bring a new genre in each time, so that it's not that in itself kind of relieves the pressure. And I'm like, well, how do I make the best space adventure movie and serve these characters? And I don't think about the whole franchise as a whole. I don't have that extra weight, really. So yeah, maybe that's kind of my coping mechanism.
Yeah, well, you're comparing yourself to The Godfather. The only reason I mentioned The Godfather is because
I know. I just read the review for part 3. I'm super curious.
That's what I saw. I saw the new
Mm-hmm.
version of number 3 has come out. That's why I was reading it this morning.
Yeah.
So that's why it's in,
No, for
in my
sure.
brain.
It's
But
been in my head too. I'm like, oh, and then but everyone's saying it's fairly minimal changes. So still interested.
yeah, still
Because
interested.
I'm not one
Yeah.
of those people that like when you, it's interesting when you watch the movies, like when you're younger and you watch all 3 in a row, that the bumps are not as big probably to the movie going audience that's seeing it as it's happening, because the movie already exists. Oh, that's already part 3 and it stars Al Pacino and he's one of the greatest actors in the world. So like your quality meter is not the same attuned level as the movie going audiences that are living with the movies as they come out. I think that happens with, like, as a kid, I thought everyone just thought Return of the Jedi was the best one, because when I was, 8, I was like, this is incredible. This is the
I was
great,
the same.
and it ends with the best feeling. So, and then when you get older, people are like, no, we don't like the Ewoks. You're like, oh, and then the older you get, you're like, oh, okay, I can kind of see that, but it's funny as you grow. I've kind of had the similar experience with these movies where, younger people that saw the first one when they were younger like that one better, and then older audiences, they saw that very mixed to negative reaction. In older audiences like the second one better, whereas the second one isn't as self-serious as the first one. So sometimes when you're young, like the earnest, very self-serious things speak to you more, because you take yourself more seriously when you're in your preteens and your teens there. So I don't know, it's interesting how like live on a longer timeline than you do, even as you're making them, and the way that they're perceived changes over time.
Yeah, although I will say, I remember watching with my friend the Matrix movies back to back, and it doesn't hide the sins. That's me being critical of the Matrix sequels, but yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't whether you watch them separately or watch them together, it doesn't. It's always, well, number 1's great, number 2's anyway.
Yeah, but those, and I still think those were the huge mistake, is that those 2 came out the same year, which is just insane.
Back to back, weren't they?
Yeah, one was in the summer and you didn't have time to even breathe and get yourself together. The other one was in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
But still excited for part 4. Never mind.
Oh, absolutely.
I spoke to Alexander earlier in the week, and he was saying that he had so much fun making the film, and he didn't. Said that he had discussions with you, and he was really kind of enamored with you, and it's not really the thing that he would normally do, and all this kind of stuff. But he said that after the first day, he was like, "This is. I'm so glad I said yes to this, because it was so much fun." I mean, that must have been great to have a great ensemble that were enjoying what they were doing, rather than just doing it for doing it for the right reasons, in the sense of they all bought into your vision and what you were trying to do.
Yeah, and that he's just a pro's pro, incredibly sweet and lovely guy, and I was telling another director, a friend of mine, that like you should be falling over yourself to work with this guy on every movie. He like stands next to the camera with his jacket folded over his arm, just very very much like exactly what you want, and just hitting his marks, any adjustment you want to make, which is very minimal. That was actually, I think the first day I was like, I normally you're kind of like, you can hear things that you want to come in there and adjust, but like with a guy like Alexander, who's so well prepared and so good at what he does, I was kind of like, I have nothing to say to him. I guess we're just like moving on. So it wasn't really till we were then, because his first days were the scenes with him and Rose. And so there were some things to figure out as we went on, but I just do remember being like, well, that was perfect. That was perfect. That was perfect. And I was like, okay, well, we can tweak some timings here. We can try some things here, but without giving anything away, the back half of his role is a little bit more fun. And so those were the ones that we kind of were able to cut loose and try a bunch of different takes, like a range of how we could play it and where we wanted to, have the shift within his character happen and how much we wanted to peek at it. Even in, I think it's actually, as a rewatch, his performance is a fun one to watch, because there's little subtle things he's doing, even in the middle of the movie when he's kind of keeping track of the team's progress, that are funny, that I crack up at, but like, I don't think you're going to laugh the first time you see it, but you'll notice it the second time.
Yeah. And obviously, I mean, this, people will always want more of these things, but for you as a filmmaker, I mean, are you happy with having worked on the 3 and obviously the last 2, are you happy that if there wasn't a call for another one for whatever reason, that you've told the story that you wanted to tell and you've done all the things that you wanted to do?
Yeah, it's a both minds. I actually felt that way after the second one, to be honest with you. The first one was like that feeling of unfinished business, and like just feeling like, man, like there's so many things that I wanted to rectify in a way, and kind of like, if I'm gonna go down, I want to go down swinging, and that's really what I think the spirit of Beyond Skyline is. It's like a kitchen sink film, and it's just like, it's just constantly throwing something at you. It's 3 movies packed into one, and it has that sort of manic energy of like, I'm who knows if I ever get a chance to do this again, I'm gonna go all out. And so I didn't really think we're gonna do a part 3. I didn't think that was possible. I'd written the pitch, I was excited about it, but I had to really be talked into from the producer Matthew Chouse, like, just start writing it, and like at gunpoint. And I finally did. And then but then the problem is, then you get really excited about it and you're like, I'm just going to get my heart broken here. And it looked like that would be the case. Like for the 2018, we tried to get it off the ground in a couple of different ways and it didn't work. 2019, Matthew found a way, and we're over in Europe and prepping in Belgium, the UK, and then filming in Lithuania.
Yeah. Well, I wish you all the best with it. I hope, with cinemas reopening and everything else, hopefully people get to see it on the big screen as well as the small.
I would love for people to see it on the big screen, but obviously safely. But yeah, it is like, it's good and bad. I did try to make it, even with the DI and even with the mix and everything. Like my DP in this, Alain Duplantier, is a French DP, amazing DP, but DPs always want to be a little bit more murky, a little darker. And I was like, look, man, most people are going to see this on a laptop. We got to make this bright and poppy and have a nice sheen all the way through. I was like, it's a pandemic year. Like, they're not going to be in the perfectly attuned cinemas. We have to really, so it does have a real poppy color to it, by design.
Certainly does. Well, I wish you all the best with it. Thank you so much for your time, and
you.
Stay safe.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey